Welcome to the weekend. I'm Jonathan Capehart, along with Eugene Daniels and Elise Jordan, who's in for Jackie Alamany. It's clear that President Trump will spend his next 100 days in office revving up his quest for political revenge. Just this week, he signed an executive order seeking to end federal funding for National Public Radio and PBS, which he calls, quote, biased and partisan news coverage. The Trump administration also announced this week that the former head of the Federal Cybersecurity Agency, Chris Krebs, is under federal investigation. You may remember that Krebs refuted Trump's lies that the 2020 election was, quote, rigged. But that's not all. White House border czar Tom Homan gave a chilling warning to Wisconsin's Democratic Governor Tony Evers. He suggested that the governor could face felony charges for advising state employees to contact an attorney immediately if approached by ICE officers. Homan said, quote, if you cross that line to impediment or knowingly harboring and concealing an illegal alien, that's a felony, and we're treating it as such. Some Republicans argued that Governor Evers was ordering state employees not to cooperate with ICE agents. Governor Evers, well, he vehemently denies that and says he has not broken any laws.
These threats represent a concerning trajectory in this country. We now have a federal government that will threaten or arrest an elected official or even everyday American citizens who have broken no laws, committed no crimes, and done nothing wrong. And as disgusted as I am about the continued actions of the Trump administration, I'm not afraid. I've never once been discouraged from doing the right thing, and I will not start today.
The key line there is, I am not afraid. But Elise, you're there in the middle box. I'd love to get your reaction to the governor. But also, hey, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited
welcome to Trump, Elise.
Two of my favorite people. And next weekend in person in D.C. So.
Yes, that's right.
Well, I really admire the governor. I think that he is not capitulating. He's not giving in. He's showing strength. And that's what Donald Trump responds to when they don't go and cower under your bunker. And he's just giving legal advice. It doesn't seem that there would be any grounds to prosecute him just for telling employees to talk to a lawyer and to use legal counsel that's available. So I don't know. It seems like a pretty thin case there.
Yeah, I mean, I was just really surprised kind of by Evers, right? He's not really someone who's like out there, out front, ready to take it on, part of the quote unquote resistance. And so for him to stand up, do it in a straight to camera, so it's like, you're hearing from me on this, I'm not afraid, here's what I actually did. I think that's probably something that other politicians on both sides of the aisle should pay a lot of attention to, because I think it's effective.
Well, isn't this the thing about Governor Evers? Didn't he do something like last year, a couple of years ago? He's this image of being boring. Like just a boring guy, but he then jumps out there and, you know, bops you in the nose to remind you, like, don't let the glasses fool you.
Yeah, he's getting the job done.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you know what? We got some other guests to join in the conversation. Joining us now, Molly Jong-Fast, special correspondent for Vanity Fair and host of the Fast Politics podcast, and Brendan Buck, MSNBC political analyst and former press secretary to Speaker John Boehner. He also worked with another former speaker, Paul Ryan. Just got to throw that out there. Welcome, folks, to the program. Molly, I would love to get your response to Governor Evers' response to Tom Homan.
So Evers actually said that he won re-election by being boring. Right. That was his quote. And he has been really effective. And remember, Wisconsin's a really split state, but there's a lot to take from this. And it's funny because this weekend we saw that Maine Governor Janet Mills actually won. Right. She won against the Trump administration. They were going to freeze her funding, and it didn't work. And that's because none of this is legal. And the reason Trump keeps losing in the courts is simple, because none of this is legal. So Tom Homan can say whatever he wants. But the truth is, a governor saying that you should consult lawyers is not against the law. We still have the First Amendment. A lot of this, like, sort of, Timu authoritarianism, this kind of stuff doesn't work when you have a legal court structure.
And it's holding up. The institutions are holding up for now.
Yeah.
Brendan, let's go to you. I want to ask you, how do you think this is playing on the Hill as Republican lawmakers who know better watch all of the attacks on the judiciary go down?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, as it relates to Governor Evers, obviously, telling somebody that they can call a lawyer is not illegal. But this is ultimately a matter of how you're being defined. And I think Democrats do run a risk of being defined by the administration and Republicans as always being on the side of the immigrants. And this is, we've seen still a situation where people do want border enforcement. They do want immigration enforcement. And the administration does a very effective job at painting people as out of step. Now, we talk about the judge in Wisconsin who got arrested. That was a moment we were like, oh my God, we're now arresting judges. But then when you look at the facts of the case, she actually did seem to be trying to run interference to avoid somebody who had a warrant for their arrest. So they do need to be somewhat careful here that they are not losing, being on the side of the rule of law and following the law is absolutely the right place to be. They also need to make sure they're okay talking about having enforcement of immigration laws when it is appropriate. Otherwise, you're going to lose the narrative here, and I think that's where Donald Trump wants to go. He wants to say all Democrats are sort of these radicals who have a higher priority for illegal immigrants than they do for safety of the community or whatever it may be. Obviously, I don't think that's true, but they run a risk of doing that at some point.
Well, I look forward to Judge Dugan. This is the judge who was arrested, to her day in court, so we can get an airing of all the facts in this case. But, I take your point, Brendan, that yes, Americans want enforcement of our immigration laws, but I still have in my mind the town hall that Senator Grassley did in Ruby Red, Iowa, where you hear this voice from the background saying, well, what about that guy who's in El Salvador? Why aren't you bringing him home? So I do think the American people are nuanced and sophisticated enough to say, yeah, we want this, but we don't want that.
Well, it's a both and, right? When you look at the 2024 election, Vice President Harris tried to do some of this, right? It fell on deaf ears a little bit, where they were tougher on immigration or talking a little bit different. But you're right, the administration is very, very effective because they like to they throw out a lot, right? And so it's very cloudy in the things,
and it's emotional.
And it's emotional, right? This is one of those emotional issues. But Molly, I want to come to you because what we've seen with Evers is kind of him standing up. A lot of folks are kind of standing up in a way that I think people like you on TV for months has been like, where is everybody on this? What's happening? What do you think has changed, right? What has changed to give Evers the kind of strength to get out front? What's given the American people who've hit the streets more of an excitement or a fervor to do so?
Well, and I would push back on Brandon pretty forcefully and say that the polling is not there, right? The polling, Trump is underwater on everything, including in some polls, immigration. So clearly, this administration, the reason that Democrats are now out in the streets is because Trump has squandered the popularity he rode into the White House with. I mean, remember, he was as popular as he'd ever been. He won the popular vote, which he had never done. And he basically was able to squander all of that popularity in 100 days. And even Trump's biggest allies, the people who said, I mean, remember, he said he was going to make things cheaper. We are in the middle of a paused, but not with China, trade war, which is going to make everything more expensive. So at every part, Trump has squandered the mandate. And I think that Democrats are right to push back on this. And I don't think this is popular. Look, does this administration want to say that that Democratic electeds are, with illegal aliens, whatever that means, immigrants, because we are a country of immigrants. Do they want to say that? Yes. But does the polling show that people think this administration has taken it too far already? Yes. And look, are there these, there's a Washington Post has an really explosive reporting today about all the things they did to get these immigrants to El Salvador. And some of them were women, and they had to fly them back. I mean, the level of incompetence, it's one thing to have values. It's another thing to just not be able to put any of this together in the way it's supposed to, in the legal way. And I think this is really backfiring on this administration. I think you're going to see much more pushback.
Can we talk about the campaign of retribution? Because NPR has a story with the headline, they found that Trump has used government powers to target more than 100 political enemies. I'm sorry, yes, that is the headline. But let me read the pull quote. An NPR review has found that the administration is using a vast array of government powers to launch criminal investigations, sweep people into ICE detention, ban companies from federal contracts, revoke security clearances, and fire employees. And Brendan, I'm just wondering, you know, you've got people out in the streets, you know, protesting the cuts and DOGE and everything. But I just wonder, does the retribution revenge that he said on the campaign trail he was going to undertake, does that resonate? Because I think people should be just as concerned about that.
Absolutely. I mean, it's chilling. Like, in this country, we investigate and we prosecute acts. We don't prosecute views, and that seems to be what they're doing. If you are opposed to Donald Trump, you are now theoretically in trouble because somebody could come at you at any time. Chris Krebs said the election wasn't stolen. Apparently, that is enough to have somebody come after you, and they're going after PBS and NPR. Look, there's been a long Republican debate about whether the government should be funding media and if that's an appropriate use of taxpayer dollars. I don't think that has anything to do with what Donald Trump is doing here. I think Donald Trump is going after PBS and NPR because he perceives them to have a bias against him, and that is the biggest threat to him or reason to go after somebody. So I think that this is actually having a real impact. I think there are a lot of people who are afraid to stand up and say anything about Donald Trump in a way that's very different from the first term around. You remember this sort of the environment his first term. Everybody was sort of kind of out there against Trump. Corporations, you know, every establishment. Paul Ryan. But at this point, like, there's a lot of people, and I have a lot of conversations with people who are like, is it really worth it for me to kind of put my neck out there at this point? And they are having, I think, whether it's going to the law firms, whatever it may be, they are hitting all of those places where there was resistance last time. I think being actually very effective at scaring people away from criticizing the president.
Well, we ain't scared here on The Weekend. We'll be back.